So thank you all. We will officially start our webinar now. Of course, we will be admitting participants as the meeting continues, so you are free to join whenever you have the time and possibility. Of course, this meeting is recorded and will be available after the end. Before we start, we would just first officially like to thank Christina, as a core team member of the INCiTiS-FOOD Dissemination and Communication team for a great organization of the webinar. And of course, you have seen Christina in the numerous emails or numerous occasions highlighting the successes and the influence of the INCiTiS-FOOD project. So thank you, Christina, for the floor, and thank you for coordinating and organizing this webinar. My name is Olivera Stojlović-Trivonić. I'm head of ecosystem development at FoodScale Hub. And of course, with my colleague, I am helping facilitate the dissemination and communication work package of the INCiTiS-FOOD project. And without further ado, before we introduce our lovely speakers of today's event, we just want to give a quick webinar notice, meaning that this session is being recorded. And for some reason, my computer completely blacked out. So I am back, but for a second I was not able to see anything. So this session is being recorded. Of course, you are automatically muted, meaning that you do not have the permission or the capability to unmute yourself. This is for better facilitation of the speaking slots that we have for our presenters. Of course, your camera is closed, and that's of course to keep your privacy and to respect your anonymity during this webinar. And of course, the chat is at your disposal. You will see the option to ask questions. We will be taking the questions in the Q&A session of the webinar. So during that meeting, during that part of the webinar, please do feel free to ask questions. And of course, during the presentations, if any questions arise, please use the chat to ask them, and we will refrain to them in the moment it comes. And of course, please participate actively, meaning, like I mentioned, in case and during the webinar you notice anything that is of interest or particularly intrigues you, please do to communicate that with us. So this is just quickly, again, the agenda for the participants that are coming in to join us now. We are now currently doing the welcome and introductions. We will follow them with just a brief introduction on our speakers. We will go over the project objectives and the project management that will be delivered by our co-coordinator of the INCiTiS-FOOD project, Dr. Manuel Benjamin. We will focus on the innovations of the farming systems of the INCiTiS-FOOD project delivered by our lead of one of the living labs in INCiTiS-FOOD and our co-PI, Dr. Oyebola. And of course, the open call review or overview and information by our own FoodScale Hub's Maja Radišić, leading this whole process. And of course, like we mentioned, we will have a Q&A session with our closing remarks. So without further ado, we would just quickly like to give you a brief on our speakers so you know and are familiar with their background and relevance. Of course, Dr. Manuel Benjamin is a research fellow at the Institute of Sociology and Economics, professor of development economics and policy at the University of Bundeswehr, Munich in Germany. Dr. Benjamin is a technical advisor also for the Global Development Center, a Nigerian NGO. His research focuses on encompasses agri-business, financial inclusion, climate change mitigation and adaptation, climate-smart agriculture, aquaculture, energy and economics, and even gender analyses. Dr. Benjamin has conducted a number of national and international projects, as well as participated in diverse European Union-funded projects. And of course, he is very well renowned for his publications in international journals. Dr. Olusegun Oyebola, hopefully I pronounced it correctly this time, is a senior lecturer in the Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries Management, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. And as we mentioned, our co-PI for the INCiTiS-FOOD project. He leads the INCiTiS-FOOD project at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria. And he has developed many public speaking events and has been part of panelists' roles for several food system related events. His research, training, and development efforts have centered around ensuring that sustainable food is optimized and to the best of the standards. He has delivered inspiring talks, led and delivered in innovative solutions to sustainable urban food production systems, and of course, using the soilless technologies. He has also delivered innovation on sustainable urban food production in the realms of integrated plant, fish, and insect farming nexus. He will speak on this a little bit after. And of course, Dr. Rebola has played key roles in implementing several food-related projects under the EU agenda, World Fish USAID, Fish Innovation Lab, World Bank, and even other notable funding instruments. He's also a fellow of the Climate Impact Research Capacity Leadership Enhancement Program of the Association of the Commonwealth Universities of the African Academy of Sciences, so a very prestigious position. Under his watch as a lead at the University of Ibadan INCiTiS-FOOD Living Lab, he has developed numerous INCiTiS-FOOD innovations, held trainings for farmers and even practitioners. And last but not least, the lady in the room, which is Maja Radicic, head of operations at Foodscale Hub. She has obtained a master's degree at the University of Novi Sad, Faculty of Sciences, and holds more than 15 years of experience in business and research sector, along with experience in business acceleration of innovative startups and SMEs. During her career, she has been involved in numerous large-scale international projects with a project portfolio of over 100 million euros, both involving project implementation and proposal preparation. Her main focus mostly relates to project management, including project implementation and proposal writing, setting and conducting and monitoring of the open calls, which she will be speaking of today, and of course, monitoring of the sub-projects and beneficiaries from those specific open calls, organization of promotional activities around them, and of course, contributing to the preparation of reports, organization of training sessions, and anything that goes intertwinedly linked with the open calls. And we need to mention also that Maya is our lead on this activity for the INCiTiS-FOOD project, also, which is her role presented here today. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor back to Christina, who will just introduce us briefly to the sections and our first speaker. So Christina, please give the floor to the next speaker.
Thank you, Olivera. Thank you for the presentation and for beginning of our webinar. I will now ask Dr. Benjamin to give us his presentation on the INCiTiS-FOOD and overview of the project. Just here's the presentation. I hope you can see it. So, Dr. Benjamin, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. It seems to be echoing. Can you hear an echo, or is it just me? Okay. Once you can hear that echo, so just take care of that. And now you should be able to hear me well without an echo. Is that correct?
Yes.
So thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for joining this webinar. On behalf of the coordinator of INCiTiS-FOOD, Professor Dr. Gertrude Buchenreder, and myself, Emmanuel Benjamin, we would like to welcome you to the open call webinar for the integrated and circular technology for sustainable city region food systems in Africa, for short, INCiTiS-FOOD. Thanks also to Foodscale Hub for the invite. And next slide, please. So one of the things that I would be taking us through today is looking at the project in depth, starting with an overview, then looking at how INCiTiS-FOOD's aims and objectives, what they are, and how they would impact the food systems. Then we would look at the living lab situations as well as the concept behind it, look at what is currently being done in these living labs in the real world. And then we would then have some pictorials at the end. Next slide, please. So what is this INCiTiS-FOOD all about? So the idea of the INCiTiS-FOOD is, first and foremost, it's a European Union funded project, which has the core concept of city food systems based in 6 different countries, having 8 living labs, right? So these countries ranges from West, Central to East Africa, and namely Cameroon, Gabon, Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. The INCiTiS-FOOD project is a 4-year project, which should end in 2026. And it has 26 European and African partners. The tune of funding of this project is 5.9 million euros, with 1 million euros dedicated to the open call, which is what we are here today to find out more about. Next slide, please. So, what is the objective of the INCiTiS-FOOD? So the objective first is to understand how the food systems can be transformed, and this can only be done through innovation and innovators. And one of the things we want to do is try to understand how these innovators and innovations can be streamlined in such a way that it would lead to the transformation of the African food systems, specifically in the urban and peri-urban areas. And one way of doing this is looking at a more closely knitted co-creation, co-development of certain technologies to ensure that they have the right technical readiness level as well as societal readiness level, but is strictly based on local streams. In other words, people come together, they look at how to improve on innovations. Improve means also simplified and use local streams. And the idea is then to have an incubation and acceleration hub, which would be a haven for all of this to take place, and which would also spur entrepreneurship, right? So at the end of the day, the idea is that this would have impact even beyond the walls of the incubation and acceleration center. So the idea is that at the end of the day, whatever is co-created, co-developed, tested would evolve over time and would be deployed to end users for ready uptake. One of the things that you would realize is the emphasis on circularity. And this is obvious when you look at the diagram on the right-hand side, where from waste, you would use this as a source of input into new production systems, such as waste from agricultural waste, house waste can be used as a form of transformation for fish feed, which can go into innovative fish farming process, such as aquaponics. This is just one of the several examples. Next slide, please. So I made mention earlier on of the idea of having this innovation actors come together to co-create, co-develop. And this is done within the sphere of the living labs, of which I mentioned we had 8. So the idea then is from those living labs, we start to foster some multi-actor approach, ranging from farmers, from processors, etc., to come together for this co-creation. Once this co-creation is done, the next step is to look at the prototyping. because it does not just stop at that co-creation. We need to also improve on these prototypes. As the improvement goes on, it goes through iterative development, through a number of trials and error, coming back to see what is wrong and what can be fixed using local knowledge. And this leads us to an MVP, so the minimum viable product. And at the end of the day, given that this minimum viable product is locally developed and locally implemented, we look to scale this up through the open call, which we would hear more about in the coming in the subsequent lectures or sections of this webinar. So the diagram on the right also tries to explain what I just discussed: co-creation, co-development, co-design, and we keep iterating until we get a very good minimum viable product that has a high technical readiness level based on local innovations, local knowledge. And then on upscaling this, we need the open call. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the living labs and where they are located all around the African regions that we are, that INCiTiS-FOOD is currently being done. So we have in West, like I said, Central and Eastern Africa, starting with Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Gabon. And one of the things that we do is that most of this is operated in real life scenario. So we really push these living labs to what potential practitioners, farmers, innovators would experience in their day-to-day activities. And these living labs are run by our African partner organizations, and together the innovations are often ongoing and undertaken together with other relevant stakeholders in the locality. Next slide, please. I hope you can hear me. Okay, thank you. So in order to just showcase some of what is being done in some of these living labs, as you can see on the upper left-hand side of this slide, we have the living lab in Sierra Leone. Sorry, the slide moved. Where aquaponics is being used. We have the living lab in Ghana, similarly, where aquaponics as well as hydroponics is being done. We have a similar prototyping in Lagos in our living lab, as well as at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria. So we have two living labs in Nigeria, Lagos and Ibadan. The aquaponics as well as hydroponics system is also being done in our living lab in Cameroon. We have an aquaponics, hydroponics system in Gabon, in Francoville, as well as in Kenya, we have two living labs. One is in Egerton University, which is Nakuru. The other one is at Kenyatta University in Nairobi. And in these locations, we also have aquaponics and hydroponics being done. In some other living labs, like the ones in Lagos, there's also the RAS, recirculating aquaculture system, being undertaken and how to improve on that. And finally, we also have some insect farming in Ibadan, also in Sierra Leone, and we have insect farming also in Kenya at Egerton. Next slide, please. So I would like to thank you for your attention. And if there are any questions, I think the moderator would be best to tell us when this would be taken. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ben. This was an amazing presentation. Sorry if there were some So if the slides moved a bit slow or a bit fast at moments, it was due to some internet problems, but I think we are managing quite well. Also, as Dr. Pam said, please do ask questions, write them in the chat, and if you have any questions for any of our speakers, write them in the chat, and then at the end of their presentations, we will be reading your questions, and our panelists will answer them. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Oyebola to give us his presentation. I'm sharing screen in just a moment. You will be able to see the presentation, and I'm leaving the floor to Dr. Oyebola.
Thank you very much, Christina, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to every one of us. We are at a different time zone. So I will be speaking on INCiTiS-FOOD innovations, and I will be taking examples from the University of Ibadan Living Lab. Actually, Ben has actually told us that we have Living Lab at 8 different locations, and we are doing similar things. Some are unique, some cut across all the Living Lab. So I will be presenting some of the innovations we have in Ibadan here. My presentation will be based on the question, what do we have to scale up? What is the state of those things, and what result do we have currently? Next slide. Okay, thank you very much. So our vision is to produce and disseminate knowledge on sustainable food production system for improved urban food conditions through innovative co-creation approaches. The target is to get idea or innovations of which food can be produced in the city environments, knowing fully well that over-dependence on food from the rural environment is actually creating problem, because sometimes transportation is a problem to get the food to the city, and the nutrient loss between the rural to the city environment is also there. So the city people are taking food of low quality, but at high prices. We are facing food insecurity, and for us to move to that level at which we can get more food, rural communities that are producing food are moved to the city, and so they must produce food in the city for the people to have food. Our main activities are to co-create innovative food production or circular food production technology, to facilitate manpower development on city food innovation through training and onboarding of participants. We trained to equip onboarded participants with skills to attract startup building funding, and that is part of what we are doing currently. We equip them, we train them, and then we prepare them to be able to assess some of these funding. Not only this, but other ones. To create awareness and partnership for technology of scaling and policies drive for improved urban food system. We want to get more information from our system and use this to propose reasonable policies that will support the food system in our city. Next slide, please. So what are we bringing? What do we have? Circular integration. That is to say, using resources in a circular way, in a way that we are not using land for each of the components, but we are using a small area of land to bring things in a way that they depend on each other. So we're looking at integration. We are looking at integration in a way in which waste from one is used for the other one. So we are transforming to get food from the waste and from turning waste to wealth in the city environment. We are also targeting healthy food for all, in which you can produce your food within your small area or even a large area, and then you are sure that nobody is selling food with chemicals or unhealthy food to you. You produce food where you are, and then you can have knowledge and be sure that this is what you are. Sustainable urban fish and plant production. So we said we can make use of the urban environment for production, but then there are challenges. Producing food in the urban environment, for instance, for fisheries, the waste from the fish creates environmental problem. The smell and how to dispose the solid waste. So communities or neighbors begin to frown, and then it threatens the sustainability of fish production. To get land to also produce crops in the urban environment, you need to compete with industrialization for land. And then the cost of land will drive somebody away from agriculture in the city environment. So we're trying to look at the station whereby we are using a scenario, we are not using soil. You can have your land, you can have it cemented, you have everything, and then you can still produce. We are looking at aquaponic system in which the nutrient-rich water from aquaculture is utilized in plant production. So we have a marriage of plant and fish production together in a kind of integration. So utilizing waste from the fish, reducing the waste by factor remediation power of the plants, and then the water becomes low-loaded with nutrients, and it gets back to the fish for use. So it's a way of conserving water, a climate-smart approach, a water-efficient approach, and a more economic system. We will still talk about the conditions of pumping. The hydroponic unit, we also use hydroponic, in which we use the waste from the liquid fertilizer production, from the frass, and then from the sludge, from the solid waste of the fish to produce our crop, thereby using the waste that's supposed to go to the environment in the city for production of healthy vegetable in the city. And so we look at the cost of production of fish, which is actually a factor of the quality and price of the feed. And so we're trying to look at alternative way to reduce the cost of the feed using insects as a substitute for fish meal, which is exported or which is imported and is of high prices. So producing insect to produce fish feed, using the fish feed to feed the fish in the aquaponic system, using the waste from the aquaponic system to feed the vegetable, and using the vegetable to clean up the water and give it back to the fish for use, and using the waste, the solid waste from the aquaponic and solid waste from the insect production to produce liquid fertilizer for use in the hydroponic unit. A complete cycle of operation. Next slide. Okay, so what are the actions we have taken and what are the outcomes that we have? Because we are looking at what do we want to upscale? So what action have we taken? What do we have currently? And then what is the scale that can come from it? In what direction can this scale from? We are talking about fish and plants tested. We have species of plants have been tested on the aquaponic and the hydroponic units, and we have results. Potential SME business model. We are having additional healthy leaf and fruit vegetable production from fish waste with potential to increase economic return for fish farmers. Fish farmers only produce their fish. They are careless about the waste, but the waste can give them more money through vegetable production, either through aquaponic or linking their production, linking the wastewater to their plant production. Organic liquid fertilizer from sludge. This is another business that can come. We have the sludge, we have the frass, so we can begin to produce organic fertilizer for hydroponic production. You know, the synthetic or the fertilizer use is very important, but then if we can produce it locally, it gets better. Production of medicinal plants are healthy and economic managed from aquaponic. So we can use our aquaponic system to produce medicinal plant, which carries higher price in market. Dry season and water conservation farming business, it's possible with the facility we have because the system is not really dependent on the season. The water is available all over the season. And in fact, the water is in a circular form. Low cost prototype. Now, currently we are investigating because the cost of aquaponic, what contributes to the high cost of aquaponic is the energy consumption in pumping. Now, not only in Ibadan here, at Ibadan, At Lagos, at some other living lab, we are investigating on use of gravitational force to drive our water. So we are looking at a prototype that would reduce the pumping or remove the pumping. So we have prototype already that we are testing in that regard. Prototyping and iteration. So what we have is not, we believe we can still improve. So we're actually expecting people to suggest and say, oh, I've seen this, you are doing this, but we can also do this. These are part of things that can come up from stakeholders and people that are joining us in some of this. Some production data have been captured with some of these production. Next slide, please. So we have our minimum viable products that we are targeting. One, simplified, less energy resource aquaponic hydration. That's one of the minimum products that we are trying to come up with. And I said we have a prototype currently here now. Liquid fertilizer from sludge or its combination with frass. We have actually tested the quality of the liquid waste and of the solid waste from our aquaponic, and we realized that it is very, very rich in nitrogen, up to about 30 to 40% crude protein. And then we know we have also looked at some minerals that are present, and we are looking at its combination with frass from our insect house to see whether the combination will give us a better performance or whatever. So, but then currently we have looked at amino acid proximate quality, and we have also looked at mineral quality of the sludge and the frass, and then the combination together. This is going to be our MVP, in which we want to target the production, and then there could be a business around that. Produce fish and vegetable on aquaponic liquid waste. The waste from the aquaponic system is utilized for fish and for vegetable production. So the fish farmers are not only producing fish, they can have vegetables to utilize the nutrient that is coming from their fish production. Produce vegetables in hydroponic system. Yes, we are already looking at the sludge from the aquaponic and the frass, which represents a waste from the insect production. And we are bringing it together to use to test on vegetables in hydroponic production. Next slide. Next slide, please. So what we are doing in essence is to look at some of these innovations, some of the products coming from it, and bringing the business approaches from it. Here are some of the things, some of the results we have seen. This is the setup of our aquaponic unit, where we have living vegetable or Solano macro, which is, and then we have tomatoes, we have bell pepper, and all of them grew well in this system. We have tried lettuce on it, though we have varieties of lettuce. We have tried lettuce on it. We have tried fruited pumpkin on it. People said that aquaponic units are not always good for fruited vegetables. But if you look at the tomatoes that is on the screen, you will see that they grew very big. The fruits were big, which means that the nutrient that is coming to this system is very, very rich. And also, when we test the quality, the conductivity of water that comes into this grow bed and goes out of it, the plants are taking very minimal quantity of the nutrients. So we still have opportunity for upscaling, like about 10, 15 units of this can still be fed with the nutrient that is coming from the system that we are using currently. So the system is like a miniature of the bigger picture that can come from it. Next slide. So that is to say, talk about the scale that currently we have our results, but it is scalable because the facility is still working, but not using the whole resources that is available. For soilless plant production, we have hydroponic from sludge and insect frass combination. This is our target. We have used different hydroponic system, grow bed system for hydroponic. We look at Garafast method, which uses waste plastic bottles to plant. We have deep water system, culture system, in which we just get the water in a bowl, and then we have our plants there, and we have our results. Within 4 months, these are the results that we have had. The survival was interesting. 28 out of 28, 36 out of 36, that's 100% survival. And the yields vary between 2.2 kg to 5.8 kg in this system for eggplants. Next plant. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have also tested tomatoes on Dutch vase system and raised-bed system. And then the survival was also, as you can see, the survival was also 100%. And the yield varies between 2.1 to 3.1 kg. This, our system, it's about 1 meter by 1 meter dimension. And then that's we have the spacing is about 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter, and we have this yield. Next slide. Mopping agricultural domestic waste for wealth. That's what we target for the insect production. We're using agricultural waste, and then we are using it to produce wealth, so to get money. And we have tried, we stock pupae or black soldier fly, and 350 grams were stocked. And at the end of the day, after processing, we have 400 grams of dried whatever and dried something. So we have harvested level of 1.25 kg from the stock pupae of 350 grams. So you can see but after drying, after processing and drying, we have 400 grams of the processed ones. The weight of the frass generated from this was about 3.5 kg. So a large quantity of waste is still generated. And so we need to utilize it. That's how we're thinking about liquid fertilizer. So we have second cycle and the third cycle. On the second cycle, about 415 grams of pupae was stocked. And then at the end of the day, we have about 1.9 kg of harvested level. And then on the processing, we have about 569 grams of the dried products that have been produced. The weight of frass also produced was about 4.1 kg, which is also high. So the frass becomes a resource that we need to utilize for a better economic returns on our system. Next slide, please. So we still continue with this, and we did a bit of cost, income, and expenditure analysis. So we have total weight after processing was about 1.18 kg, and 3,000 per kg and then we have 3,552 naira return from that, whereas the cost of fish meal per kg is 6,000 naira. So like reducing the cost by 50% in production, we are using our black soldier fly. And then we have about 9 kg of frass that is available. We want to use frass, and we want to introduce frass, and we want to introduce our sludge as economic resources, not a waste to the environment. So our MVP is to have low-cost BSF production for sales, low-cost fish feed formulation from BSF for sales, and frass and liquid fertilizer for hydroponic producers. Next slide, please. So in essence, we are looking at what comes. So these are some of the facilities that we have in our lab. You can come around and check. And then we have the BSF products. You can see we have the INCiTiS label for our BSF processed one that is available here. And then we have the love cage. That's where we have our insectary. And that's what we have for the insectary currently in the living lab. We have observed some challenges with insect production, and then we are trying to work around some of these things, and so that we can be able to use this in training farmers when they come for training. Next slide, please. So what we are doing in essence is after we have gotten this, we onboard participants. Anybody that wants to be part of it, to learn from it, and then begin to do it, we onboard them. So we have organizations that have been onboarded. We have 8 organizations that have been onboarded within the past, we're in month, we're in 2 years in the program, but we started all this within a year, and then we have 8 organizations that have been partners. We have had 6 trainings, and we are planning to have another training by 24th to 27th of this month. For interested people, you can get across to us and know the exact date, and then you can also be trained. After training, you get onboarded, and then we could begin to work with you to see that you have your units, or when you want to do your units at your hand. So number of people that have been trained, we have trained over 260 people till date, of different sexes and different age group. And we have onboarded 46 people. Our onboarded participants already have a platform for interaction, and we send information to them to it. So we have been to different expo. Last week, we are also at Lagos at Green West Africa workshop. We have also trained here on how to do some of these things, and we also welcome people to be trained more. Next slide, please. So in order to drive for improve adoption of this technology, we undertake dissemination and networking, and this is ongoing. We are networking with private and government establishments, so you can actually work with us at any time. You get across to us, and then we get you involved in what we do. We do media engagements. We have been on channels. We have been on the different print media also. We do exhibition of agricultural events. We are at Lagos, we are at Abuja, we are at Ibadan for some other conferences also on agricultural products. And we will do the university fair. At University Fair UI 75, we were invited also. So open days, we have open days, and we have had open days of our living lab, and it was quite interesting. So you are welcome at any time, and we are ready to disseminate information regarding the innovations that doing, and also you also coming up to give us some suggestions, and we can also support you as you try your own prototype. Next slide, please. So we are not just doing this, we are also trying to see how innovations like this get across to policymakers and to government officials. We have had a good relationship with the state governor of Oyo State, and Oyo State is now, we have mobilized and we have worked with the states to register cities in Ibadan on Milan policy paths to facilitate food system policy in the state. We have done it, and we are still working on getting as much local government as possible within Ibadan on today's. We can also support other states or other cities that are interested in this. Promote holistic think tank and working group to develop worldwide framework for food system, stakeholders engagement, creation and deployment of technical, business, and social adoption, and management model for sustainable food production system. So that's what we do, getting innovations on technical, on business, on social things, and then making sure that they are adopted by relevant people. Reliable data collection and data management for data-driven decision-making on food system. That also we try to do, get data so that we can encourage our policymakers, not just on wish, but on looking at giving them the specific information that have been, the data that have been collected. So it will be data proven. So we create room for periodic assessment and continuous improvement in efficiency. So we welcome people. We have experiences, we share our experiences, and also we welcome experiences for other people. So we can actually progress and move on. We believe improvement in food system is a continuous thing. We cannot start it and end it in a day. We keep on improving. And so we welcome everybody to also join in this campaign to get food to the city and make it as abundant as possible. Next slide. So it's quite interesting, and we have an open door policy for you. Anytime you can call on us, or you can actually come to the lab. And if you are located in any other living lab in any of the countries, we can also get you linked to the leaders there. These are some of the facilities, simple hydroponic systems that you can actually use. You can see the ones is just buckets, and we have buckets there. And then we also have the ones that we use the waste bottled water system. This is how the facility was when we started, but we had even actually improved. Now we have so many of these in our living lab. You can just branch and then you can see how far we have gone and how we can actually be working together as a team. Next slide. So this is our setup here, and it's really nice. So thank you very much for your attention. We believe you have learned some things and that you have information on what you can scale and how we can be of assistance to you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Olivera.
Thank you, Dr. Agbola. I believe this was very useful to our participants. Again, if you have any questions, anything you would like to ask our panelists, feel free to type that in. I see that some questions are already coming in, so just keep asking everything you need. Now, I would like to ask Maya, our open call manager, to give us her presentation. I believe that you can see the presentation here. Maya, whenever you are ready, feel free to start.
Thank you, Christina. You can make it perfect. Okay, so my name is Maya Radicic, and on behalf of FoodScale Hub, I will give you a short presentation, actually short overview of the open call, its practicalities, and what is important for you to know before you start preparing your application, or to know in order to upgrade your application. I think vision and name of the open call, you had a chance to hear from both Dr. Ben and Dr. Oyebola, so we can proceed to the next slide. With respect to open calls within the INCiTiS-FOOD, we'll have 2 open calls. Now we're talking about the call for local innovation hubs. We aim to select 8 new hubs, and for the next open call, we will fund 24 independent innovators from the 8 cities and towns across INCiTiS-FOOD living labs. When it comes to open call for local innovation hubs, as I said, 8 local hubs will be funded. The consortia can be formed by 2 to 3, minimum 3 and maximum 3 legal entities of civil society organizations, NGOs, SMEs, secondary school, tertiary schools, and cooperatives. But please keep in mind that schools and universities can be only partners, but they cannot be a consortium leaders. In total, 940,000 euros will be dedicated for this open call, and as you can see, it will be 170.5k euros per each hub. And as you can see, maximum amount that each partner can receive via this open call is 58,750 euros. It is planned that the implementation of the sub-project will last for 12 months, and it will be divided into three phases. And what is important for this call is that we expect that local innovation hubs are located also outside of INCiTiS-FOOD countries, but they must accept all the regulations of the INCiTiS-FOOD living labs. And more information on this you can find on INCiTiS-FOOD knowledge hub. This is the open call flow. So just briefly, we'll have currently we are in the application phase. It will be followed with eligibility check in case application is not eligible. It will be rejected. If it's eligible, it will go to the remote evaluation and then consensus meetings. Although we plan to select 8 living labs, we will shortlist 12 of the best ranked, and they will proceed to the online interviews that will be held by 5 INCiTiS-FOOD open call consortium members. I think it's a coordinator open call manager, one representative of the living lab, and 2 experts from the field, also members of the consortium. If after the interviews we cannot find the common ground, the consensus meetings will be held, and then we'll communicate the results and proceed with the contracting phase. And as I said, implementation will be divided into 3 phases, and each phase will follow with the request for payment. Actually, after the part of your work is done, you will be reimbursed. This is related to exact dates. So currently we are in between points 2 and 3. The deadline is March 20th. So you still have a lot of quite enough time to prepare the presentation. Evaluation, both made by external evaluators, but also interviews will be held in March and April. And in May, we'll proceed with contracting, while the implementation will start in June 2025, and it will last until May 2026. Submission 2 is Open Call Hub. Here you can find the direct link. As you can see, the deadline, you have 15 days until the deadline. Here you can also register to become an evaluator. Official call for evaluators will be launched by the end of this week, but this is actually an ongoing process, so you can register at any time to become an evaluator. But what is important to know, that in case you would like to apply as an applicant, you will not be eligible to be selected to be an evaluator as well. So it's either or. These are here, you can find listed open call documents. So open call text, applicant's guide, proposal template, declaration of honor that has to be submitted, filled in and submitted by all consortium members, consortium declaration signed by all partners or members of the consortium. Declaration of conducting business also has to be submitted by all consortium members. Bank account information, it will be needed only for the winning consortia. Model subgrant agreement, which is given only for informative purposes. And INCiTiS-FOOD standards, as I said previously, they can be found in the INCiTiS-FOOD Knowledge Hub. These are applicability areas that we are targeting within the INCiTiS-FOOD open call: hydroponics and bioponics, aquaponics, aquaculture, and insect farming. And about them, you were able to hear more from Dr. Oyebola in the previous presentation. When it comes to the application structure, you have online part. It contains the administrative information provided while registering at the platform, plus the documents that you have to upload. Then you have proposal text, summary objectives, experience of the team and the impact, but also a budget, cost categories, justification, and the ethics self-assessment, which is extremely important to fill in properly, because all the applications will be assessed by our independent ethics advisor as well. And please, as you can see, we have a 10-page limit for the specific sections, while the rest are not covered. You can go to the next slide also. These chapters rounded in red are covered by the 10-page limit, while the rest are not. So these are the chapters: executive summary, general information of the team, excellence, impact, implementation, replicability and reusability of the solution, cost justification and funding, and ethics self-assessment. Eligibility criteria and procedure. So all entities that are eligible for EC funding under the rules of Horizon Europe are eligible to apply to INCiTiS-FOOD open call. More information on which countries are they, you can find both on applicant's guide, but also a document from which is actually derived from the EC document, and you can find the link over there as well. So it's minimum 3 and maximum 3 legal entities, civil society organizations, NGOs, SMEs, tertiary schools, cooperatives, universities, and similar. And all third-party activities are under the domain of sustainable, circular, and inclusive African city region food systems and reduction of food waste. As I said previously, we have two-stage evaluation process. First is external remote evaluations performed by external experts, which are outside of the INCiTiS-FOOD consortium, and they will not rank, but they will give proper marks to your application based on the weighting factor, but the quality of the application prepared. And in case there are discrepancies between marks given by the two evaluators, a consensus meeting will be held in order to see why this discrepancy occurs. Okay, I think here I made a mistake, so it's not 4, it's 5 consortium members. Online interviews will be 12 best ranked applications will be invited to the online interviews, and these are the criteria that will be checked during these interviews. These are some technical requirements that are applicable for all applications, regardless of the application area. For each of the application area, there is a specific set of requirements that you can find in the applicant's guide. But what is important to start with? So all applicants must have either farming facility or sufficient access to enough land area to be able to work. Must have access to the necessary resources. Must have submitted a detailed proposal outlining the systems to be implemented. Are willing to allow integration and socioeconomic and technical data collection on its production unit. Have agreed to adhere to the local agricultural regulations and standards, including the INCiTiS-FOOD regulations. Have demonstrated the ability to adopt innovative approaches. Leader of the consortium, at least leader of the consortium, has to be able to communicate fluently in English, because this is the official language of the INCiTiS-FOOD project, and must comply with ethical, environmental, and health standards set by the Living Lab. In addition, it is highly desirable that at least one consortium member has attended training session organized by INCiTiS-FOOD Living Lab, or that at least one consortium member has signed an onboarding agreement with any of the INCiTiS-FOOD Living Lab. These two criteria, in case you either attended training session or has signed an onboarding agreement, it could bring you half points to the sum of your marks received by the external evaluators. So in total, you can get one additional 1 point in case you have fulfilled both of these criteria. So this is more with more information about the award criteria set by external evaluators. So 30% is weighting factor of the excellence, so alignment with INCiTiS-FOOD scope, design, novelty, reliability, innovative aspect of the solution. 40% bring impact, this is the most important part of your application. So solution output, business sustainability and scalability, exploitation plan, technical and commercial milestones, environmental and societal impact of the proposed solution. And 30% is for the third part, implementation, team capability and key expertise, technical resource plan, the overall delivery plan, allocation of resources and timeline. And in addition, here you can see once again extra points scheme. So in case half of points could be received if you attended any of the session or has signed an onboarding agreement with any of the INCiTiS-FOOD Living Labs. External evaluators, 2 will be assigned per proposal. One will have technical expertise, while the other will have business or agricultural expertise, or from the specific application areas of the INCiTiS-FOOD consortium, and no connection with the INCiTiS-FOOD consortium. External evaluators and applicants in the open call should be completely independent from us. When it comes to evaluation process on online interviews, so top 12 applications will be selected and proceed to this stage. 5 INCiTiS-FOOD consortium members will chair these interviews, and these are the weighting factors of the criteria that will be checked: concept and methodology of your solution, business expectation, and consortium. With respect to payment scheme, local innovation hubs, it will be divided in 3 phases. First will last for 2 months. So after the second month, you will have to submit the first deliverable, and upon the acceptance, you will receive 40% of your grant, of the amount that you are entitled to. The cycle 2 will last from month 3 to month 10. Again, it will be followed by the submission of second deliverable, and upon acceptance, you will receive 40%. And the third cycle will last for 2 months as well. And again, it will be followed with submission of the third deliverable. And upon acceptance, you will be reimbursed for the remaining 20% of your budget. As you might see, INCiTiS-FOOD Living Open Call for Living Local Innovation Hubs is deliverable based. That means that upon the acceptance of the deliverable, you will be reimbursed. Here you will see, this is the table from the proposal template. So here it could be seen which are actually the overall cost of the deliverables, but also these are the maximum amount that you can ask in these points of time. And cost categories: personnel, travel cost, equipment, other goods and services, subcontracting, indirect cost, and total cost. For all members of the consortium have to be presented in this table. Subcontracting is allowed to the maximum of 25% of the proposed budget. It has to be clearly justified, and please keep in mind that in case you decide to go with subcontracting, these costs will be the sum of subcontracting will be excluded from indirect cost. a calculation, which means that you will be entitled for less budget than initially planned. So in case you decided to have, I don't know, some amount for subcontracting, that means that you will not get at the end 107,500 euros, but less. Some additional information, please keep the formatting of the proposal as it is. There are some places and some text that could be deleted, but the remaining have to remain as is. And I think that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. I believe this was very useful to all of our participants who aim to apply for the open call. And I see we have some questions in a Q&A session and in chat as well. So I would now ask my colleague Oliveira to take over and ask our panelists questions that our participants wrote.
Yes, of course, Christina, thank you so much for the floor, and thank you to our great speakers for these insightful presentations. I think it really helped our participants understand what is the role of the project, what are the goals, and of course, how to envision their successful proposal. So we actually have one question that was twofold, naming the first part is addressed concretely to the possibility of consortium members being part of EU countries, but doing and conducting the work in Africa. So is that something that is possible? And is that something that is acceptable? And the second part of the question was, is it possible for two universities to be part of the consortium? And if that is possible, can those two universities be from the same locations, or do they have to be from different countries? So maybe, Maya, you can jump in and help, especially answer the question if consortium members can be part of EU countries and then conduct their work in Africa.
There's no exclusion criteria that countries from actually applicants from or consortium members from EU cannot take part in the consortium. However, it is important to know that this call is primarily from African countries, so they could be an additional partner, but my suggestion would be that consortium leader and at least one additional partner should be from Africa, but they could have a partner from EU. Yeah.
Great, Maya. Thank you so much. And we have a second question. I think it's both relevant to Dr. Royabola and of course to Maya, and that is knowledge and experience in algae culture, so focusing on algae as an innovation, considered relevant for hydroponics? So maybe Dr. Royabola can share his expertise, and of course relevant for hydroponics in terms of the application. Maybe Maya, you can comment if Dr. Royabola doesn't answer this question fully. So Dr. Royabola, is experiences in algae culture and experience in algae in general relevant for hydroponics? Dr. Royabola okay. I think his internet has dropped, so we will come back to this question in a few. So a question, I think it's relevant for our participants in terms of if they're still envisioning their idea, if they're still trying to build their consortium, is can a consortium choose to tackle more than one technology or innovation or approach or solution? So is it favorable, or is it something that they should not focus too much on?
It depends how complementary they are to each other, because my personal suggestion would be to stick with one idea, which is most closer to the applicants and for which they have more experience and expertise, it's better rather than scatter the product. Plus in the proposal you have only 10 pages to describe, so it's better to focus on one and do it properly.
Okay, so this is very important for our participants to note that the page limit is very strict. So please do develop your idea properly and in detail, better than to scatter your ideas and then limit your ability to create a successful proposal. So now if we're in the top, oh, sorry, Maya, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's as stated in the applicant's guide, a consortium can submit only one proposal. You can resubmit it in case you see you saw some you want to make some additional modifications, but consortium can, and only the last submitted will be taken into account. But in case the same consortium submits more than one proposal on different topics, they will be discarded. So focus on one and do it properly.
I think this is a very good suggestion for our participants who have not yet formed a consortium and not yet defined their idea. And I think now that we're on the topic of forming consortium, we actually got a private question, which was, can a consortium leader be an SME? Or must the consortium leader be an NGO or a cooperative? So who can lead this consortium?
This call is primarily from the civil society organizations and then NGOs. However, SMEs are more than welcome to be part of the consortium as a partner. However, it's better than sorry, that civil society organization or NGO leads.
Great. Thank you, Maya. And we just had a request to just repeat our response. So the response relating EU entities, there's no restriction, but we mentioned that the discussion was to focus on operations in Africa, and the idea of the call is to enhance food security and food stability in Africa. So that's something very important to keep in mind when designing your idea. But again, there is no limitations to this area. So then,
sorry, Olivera,
yes,
just to add, the knowledge transfer is more than envisaged here. So a experienced partner from EU can only bring value to the African partners within the consortium, but it should be focused on African partners.
Great. Thank you so much, Maya. And I'm just now trying to scroll. We are getting actually a lot of questions in the chat, which is quite good, and we are very thankful and grateful for your contribution. And we see that Oyebola is actually joining us again. So we will take questions, of course, and then give Oyebola the floor once he joins us. Maybe Maya, if you can, we have a question to just restate again the content and expected outcomes of the three stages that you mentioned. I know you mentioned them in the presentation, and you gave a concrete explanation of what each stage of the proposal implementation is expecting with deliverables and milestones, but maybe if you can just briefly mention it for the joined us quite recently. And Dr. Oyebola, welcome back. We have a question waiting for you.
Okay, so the phase one that will be followed with deliverable one. It's I'm just like open the presentation. So elaboration of a mock-up of the future solution. That's the first deliverable, meaning that it should combine all the work done within the 2 months, which are preparatory. Let's say it like this. The second one is solution development, finalization of MVP, and first actions to engage end users. And the third one is go-to-market plan, financial projections for project activities, and the plan to attract additional funding. These are three phases of the, I think, 3 deliverables that are marked the end of each part of the application.
Great. Thank you, Maya, so
implementation
much.
of fish. Yeah.
And I think this really now allows people to understand so they can efficiently plan their activities. So please do try to align your proposals and your ideas with what is actually expected from the open call itself. So you need to be sure that you're able to deliver the outcomes in the timeline presented. And Dr. Ebola, now that you've joined us, maybe we can just come back to the question that we had, and it's about is expertise in algae, so algae cultivation, algae mitigation, necessary when we talk about hydroponics and aquaponics?
Well, it's algae production is necessary, but in the context of what we do in this consortium, I don't think there's any of the partner that is practicing on algae production. So, but talking about necessary, yes, it is necessary, but we are not looking at that currently in the consortium.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And maybe you can focus also now that you're here, we have a general question about what are the challenges that have been now faced by farmers to adopt the system. So how are some ways that you have ensured their stability and inclusion in the project so far, especially in your living labs?
Thank you very much. Well, the challenges of adoption by people that wants to adopt, they are in the area of technical, financial, and inputs. In terms of technical, in terms of knowledge of how do we do this, and that's why we are trying to provide training for them to have knowledge on how to do this. Also, in terms of technical, we also make it to be as simple because the system we are using is what we call simplified aquaponics system. So it's not we make it in a very simple form that we can use. Even once, like I shared recently, one of the people that have been onboarded, he just decided to channel the wastewater from his aquaculture unit to the vegetable. It's as simple as that. So that could be, we try to make it as simple as possible so that we can encourage people to produce food in the city. The aspect of, so we train them and we onboard them to be part of us. So the technical aspect should likely be off with all this. Financially, we also promote low-cost innovations. We try to see how people can use the inputs that are within their countries and are of low cost as much as possible. That's the reason what we do is innovation, co-creation of innovation. Look at what we have and think within you, what is it that you can sustainably get in producing? And that's a key one to overcome the challenges of the financial and the technical aspects. In terms of quality, people have reached out to us that they need quality seed for planting and all of this. Well, it could be another level of intervention that could come in the future to ensure supply of good quality seed, because seed quality is also a major issue, both for fish production and in crop production. So but then people that are doing conventional agriculture, they are also getting this seed, and they're also getting this fish seed. So we can also leverage on that and get this. So it may not be an issue. Maybe I should also address a question that talks about the sustainability of this system after the end of because I saw a question on that and I tried to put some things down. In order to ensure sustainability, that's why we came into the aspect of reduced cost, low cost. And we're also looking at easy access to inputs. These are things that may kill sustainability, easy access to inputs. And also bringing it closer to the house, to where you are, where you stay, and you see it. And then you can see the production by yourself until you continue to use this. You cannot get the asset or the grow bed, and then you grow it 1-2 times and you see the grow bed down, you're still, so I have this thing, I can still use it. So it brings, it's talking about sustainability. And then, something that you co-created, you are also part of the production. It's difficult to remove you from it. So these are some of the components that we have brought into these projects to make it a sustainable approach. And of course, we are still with you at any time to give you technical backstopping. Thank you.
Great, Dr. Ebola. I think this was a very detailed explanation, and I think it really helps applicants understand what to expect when they envision how their project can live on after the open call financing is complete. So thank you so much. And I think it's very important to note that we had several questions about the access to this recording. Yes, the access to this recording will be made available. It will be made available through our YouTube channel, and we will make designated posts and available information online. So if you are not following INCiTiS-FOOD on our social media, we do encourage you to do so, because all of our relevant updates and information is posted there in a very, very high speed. So please do watch out for the YouTube recording itself. And we have a very interesting question, and that is about already existing living labs. And I think this is a very important aspect when we talk about bringing something previously into a consortium. And the question is, if an already existing living lab or an existing similar structure, let's say from East Africa, considers to replicate their successful stories and their successful applications in another country, such as Uganda, would this idea be feasible and beneficial for this type of open call application? So maybe, Oyebola, maybe you can give a 2 cents on if you think this is relevant for the sustainability of INCiTiS-FOOD, and then let's say the co-creation. And then Maya, of course, if you want to jump in with any answer, you may. Dr. Oyebola, do you hear us?
No, I didn't hear. My
yes,
network
of course,
was fluctuating,
no problem.
so can you
The
begin,
question
please?
is an idea to replicate work that has already been done in East Africa in another country, let's say Uganda, focusing on our principles, beneficial for this type of open call, and of course, for the success of INCiTiS-FOOD in general. So it can be your thoughts and opinions, of course.
Well, I think, looking at the structure of the open call and the responsibility of the living lab in taking data and monitoring what is going on with respect to some of these innovation hubs that are getting the funding, I think it will be good to have such intervention in the countries where the living labs are. Because it will be difficult because it's not part of the budget of each living lab to travel to another country to evaluate any projects. Just thinking.
Thank you so much. Maya, do you have anything else to maybe add?
It is just important to note that the same activities cannot be funded twice, especially if it's from the European sources or even from the African sources. However, if the idea is to enhance and to change the location, it could fit into the.
So this is very important for our applicants to note that if you've already received funding for one type of idea, it will not be possible to receive funding for the same idea twice. And it's very important to find innovative ways to enhance that already existing practical solution, or to find a new idea you wish to develop, leaning on the infrastructure or the expertise that you already have. So this is very, very important when crafting and designing your solution for this open call. We had another question that was more on the type of innovation that we can maybe see in these open calls. And I know in the open call kit that is available online, you can read all potential entry points and interesting topics. But a question was, can proposals focus on some other forms of innovation, such as market aspects or market innovations, and even socio-economical innovations, or should they necessarily try to align with the solutions of the INCiTiS-FOOD in terms of technical aspects. And again, I'm just going to remind everybody that there is criteria and there is a set of recommendations online. The link is posted in the chat, but maybe Maya can put it in simpler terms.
Both marketing enhancement, but also socioeconomics should be part of the solution and should be explained for the purposes of INCiTiS-FOOD call for local innovation hubs. So technical aspects must be incorporated because that is the whole idea. But also market readiness, business modeling, socioeconomic aspects have to be explained, but with primarily focus on technical aspects of the solution.
Thank you, Maya. This is very important. So if applicants are considering to only focus on one aspect, that will not result in a very successful application. So when you prepare your application, please do take into consideration all of the aspects that go into proposing an idea. So if you are unsure what these criteria are, we again do encourage you to visit our official website with the documents concretely explaining how each of these sub-criteria should be integrated in your proposal. And we are...
In addition, in proposal template, there are specific parts that have to be filled in, which are related to socio-economic aspects, sustainability, business modeling and stuff. So they have to be included, but technical aspects have to be included as well. Yeah.
Great. Thank you
so much. I think maybe I should just add to that. Maybe when proposals are being made, because the concept of this project is not just the socio-economic. We have the socio-economic aspect, we have the policy aspect, we have the production aspect. A mix of this will make good meaning.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Oeboya, for jumping in. I think this is very important to highlight that the idea of these calls is actually to sustain them after the funding of the open call. So your ideas actually have to have a very high benefit for society and, of course, the local context that they're trying to enhance and change. And I'm just trying to be mindful of the time. We do have 4 more minutes, so I'm going to take 1 or 2 more questions from the chat. And of course, you all know that we are accessible via email for any questions that we don't necessarily have time to answer now. And I think this is a very interesting question, and it is observing now aquaponics, hydroponics, and insect farming that have been very strongly demonstrated here. Can any of the solutions in the open call applications focus on different aspects such as mushrooms? So mushroom farming, and we had a similar question focusing on a different sub-topic. And again, this is oftentimes all described in the kit, but maybe Maya, if you want to comment something or maybe a part of the open call kit where applicants can find this detailed information on what to focus in terms of topics, maybe that will also help them.
Yes, I will just open the applicant's guide, and I will tell you the exact section where.
Perfect.
Just a second. In the section 2.2, requirements for INCiTiS-FOOD open call. 2.2.1 is technical requirement, and then we have general requirements.
Trying to look at that.
And we have requirements per application area. Then we have targeted topics. It's 2.2.2, and again it's divided in three application area in focus of INCiTiS-FOOD project. So here you will see what is expected. and some targeted topics. What could be, that will give you an idea what could be the topic of your application.
Great.
So section 2.1, no, 2.2 could be maybe the most important for you.
Great. Thank you so much, Maya, for this explanation. I know that sometimes reading very long and excessive documents can be burdensome. So it's very good that we mentioned this web-specific session to look at in case you're unsure of the idea of your overall proposal. So thank you all. Unfortunately, we do not have any more time to answer questions. We are reaching the end of our webinar, and we are very grateful for your time. And of course, we're grateful to all of our speakers for participating, especially in the Q&A session, and giving their part of the contribution to understand this complex theme of preparing a proposal aligned with the INCiTiS-FOOD objectives. We would like to thank Christina again for facilitating this webinar and for helping keep the information about INCiTiS-FOOD in of course online and offline presences, and of course to you all, dear participants, for your questions and participation. And like I mentioned, we are available via email to answer any questions that we did not have time to focus on now. Again, thank you all for a wonderful and insightful webinar, and please do stay in contact with INCiTiS-FOOD if you're interested for more updates and informations. I wish you all a really good day.
Bye-bye and good luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you for participating, and see you in the next occasion. Bye.